We might be live. We might not. I'm really not sure just yet. There's always that delay on these streams, and here we go. It looks like it's loading. There we go. Can you guys hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. The mic's going to be a little bit weird tonight because I've got it where sometimes it'll be behind me, sometimes it'll be next to me, just because of my setup's just kind of weird right now. I actually just forgot where my camera was and wasn't even looking at you guys. So I'm going to wait until I get notification that you guys can hear me before I go too far, because that's always really annoying to be telling a story and find out mic wasn't working. Let's see. Audio, video check. Okay, we are good. So thanks for joining, and hopefully I'll be back to, my plan is to have live streams every Wednesday night like this. Not necessarily with Photoshop, but with painting or whatever I'm working on. So we should be back to normal with that. And then I'm going to be doing a little bit of some changes on my schedule for my other videos. I haven't figured out exactly what days what's going up, but that is coming soon. So tonight, the main thing that I want to focus on tonight's video is showing you guys how I come up with a design for my paintings. I use Photoshop, and I use a Wacom tablet now, but for years I didn't. So if you don't have one, I don't want you to feel like you can't do what I'm doing without the Wacom tablet. That's just going to make it easier for me because I have to draw an octopus that I don't have a photo of. But I want to show you before I get started a couple of things. Hi, Valerie. No, I'm not recording. I don't need to record this one since it's not an actual art project. I'm not going to make a separate video. This will be the only video on this portion of the painting. The rest will be the painting itself when I start that. Hopefully in the next week or so. So just to show you what I typically do in Photoshop, I want to show you some before and afters of what I design and what it turns into for the painting. And then we'll get started on this one. So one would be this owl. So these are 4 layouts I had. I got this owl from wildlifereferencephotos.com. The concept I had, I knew I wanted this kind of rainbow background, and I wanted circles and bubbles, and I had no idea if I wanted the owl to be in color or to be in black and white or how bright I wanted the background. So I used Photoshop to try different ideas and see which concept I liked best. And then this was my finished project, this owl here. So you can see I went with a more dull background, and I went with the black and white for the owl himself. Now, I wouldn't have known what I liked best, unless I Photoshop this first. I could do quick sketches, but it's not quite the same as Photoshop. So I do recommend, if you are an artist, this is a program you want to learn. It is on my must-have list. There are other photo editors, but this one is really, really good. I think with Adobe, and this is not a sponsored video, I'm not associated with them in any way, but with Adobe, it's like $10 a month or something like that, and you get that and Lightroom, which is so helpful for editing. If you'd take photos of your artwork, the main thing I use Lightroom for, I'll take photos of my work, and they're not always completely accurate to the color of the painting, and that allows me to adjust it really easily. So that gives you some ideas on how I'm doing that. The other one I want to show you besides the owl, we'll go ahead and shrink him down. I did the same. This is a really old painting. Here was my Photoshop layout of this, and you can see there are just tons of layers. I can remove different layers and add them back in. So tons and tons of Photoshop in here. Everything from, even on this guy on the hawk, whoops, he did not have feet on the photo, or something was wrong with his feet. I don't remember. I don't even remember where that photo comes from. I'm guessing it was a Wildlife Reference Photos or Jason Morgan. I'm not sure which he came from. But I had to find photos of a hawk's feet on another photo, and then I Photoshopped it in just so that I could see what that would, oh, that's not the right one. Let's see if I can grab his feet. There's his feet. See how they're not even the same thing. I had to make that adjustment in order to see what that would look like for the painting. So Photoshop is so helpful for, can someone block this? Oh, whatever cache. Oh, good. You got him already. Thanks. So anyway, that is basically what I do. And this allows me to say, okay, okay, this is back before I used to name things. Name your layers. I was terrible about this back then. But, okay, like the chickadee. Well, what happens if I put the chickadee here? Or, I can try him in different locations before I paint it. And this lets me just have a better idea, so I'm not wasting canvas time or painting on the canvas to decide, oh, I actually hate that idea. So here was my actual painting. It's not exact. I don't need it to be exact. I need it to be close to have a general idea of how I want this layout to be, just where I want the light bulbs. Do I want 3? Do I want 2? Do I want the chickadee on the left or the right? I can move all that around before I ever hit the canvas, so I'm not wasting, once I go to the canvas, I know what the plan is. Basically, when I'm being creative, the creative process for me happens in Photoshop. It happens in the design process. Once I hit the canvas, it's not so much a creative endeavor at that point, it's a technical one where I'm just using my technical skills to copy whatever design I came up with to render that in an actual painting. I think a lot of times artists get confused on the technical versus the creative part. And for me, again, creative is the design. Once it's designed, you have to switch to your technical mode. So if you get to the point where you're like, I'm not feeling it tonight, I just don't feel creative. Well, if your design is already done, you don't need to feel creative. You just need to go do it. You need to go work like any other job. Just go to the easel and work. You've already done the creative part. I do understand where you need to be in the mood a bit more to be creative, but once I've got that design done. So anyway, that is basically what I do for my before and after when I come up with a design. Now tonight's design is going to be a bit different. I can probably just close that. Because I don't have an actual reference photo of an octopus that I can use. That I cannot find good royalty-free octopus photos. So I'm going to make up my own by using lots and lots of, I've got like 20 different not royalty-free reference photos or photos that I've taken from the internet, but I'm not copying anyone exactly, so I'm not going to get in trouble with copyright. So I'm going to end up freehanding just an general idea for a sketch here. So for this photo, first I started with, I still want to use reference photos. Even when I'm coming up with an idea where it's going to be more surreal, I still need photos of the things that I want to include. So like the octopus, I'm not going to copy it exactly, but I need photos of octopi? Am I saying? I don't know how to, the grammar there. But I need photos to get an idea of, hold on, we have a text or email from Kaneho. Let's see if there's anything I'm missing. Adjust my camera. I look lower into this shot. I can't, Kaneho. He wants me to adjust my camera. Once I start working, I'm going to be close enough to both things that I'm going to actually be out of the frame, I think. So, thanks for the suggestion, but I think it won't work once I'm working. Anyway, most of you are like, what are you talking about right now? But anyway, back to this. So I still need reference photos, even if I'm doing something surreal. Even if I'm coming up with a very unique idea, I still want photos of that. Let's say I want to put light bulbs in this. I need photos of light bulbs so I have an idea of what that would look like. So here, I knew I wanted this jar. I went to the mall and bought this droopy glass, blown glass jar over bowl over the driftwood. So I took photos of that today. Now, the first thing I want to show you is what I did for the photos because the lighting matters. And I knew that because I'm going to be putting coral and fish inside of the bowl, that's where my light source really is coming from inside the bowl. So what is that going to look like? How are the shadows going to play on the wood that this is sitting on? Those are the things that I need to know first. So what I did, I took 2 different photos. One is, let's back this up. So here's the photo, the original photo. And if you can see at the top, see how my cell phone is sitting on top of the bowl? It's blocking what I need to see with the ring, but that's how I needed to get the light. That seemed to be the easiest way for me to get the light shining in the bowl. So that is partially what I want, but I don't want the bowl in front. And also I'm kind of laughing because I didn't think this through very far today and I did not make the futon before I took the photos. The futon has since been made, but I have an unmade futon behind this, so that's super classy. Anyway, the phone, I needed the phone for the light, but then I didn't want the phone for the whole thing. I need to be able to see the angle that circle on the top rim is going, how that's going to lay. So what I did is took another photo, left my camera in the exact same position, took another photo without the phone. Now my lighting is not what I want, but I can see the top of the bowl. And then I used Photoshop to erase the portion of the phone on the one bowl. So I basically got 2 photos showing here. So now I can see everything I need and I've got the lighting that I need. So that is just really quickly, I did that earlier, so I'm not going to show you guys how that all goes, but it gives you an idea of how I'm layering and coming up with that reference photo. So the next thing that I need to do, I'm actually done. I don't need this one now. So let's get rid of that. Okay, so I know that I'm going to have this whole scene sitting on top of wood grain, and I'll adjust my colors a bit here and there. That isn't too important. I don't need the most amazing photo here. I'm going to make the adjustments on the painting. I just need to get an idea of my colors, of what the wood grain would look like, because there's a possibility once I start designing this that I decide that wood grain, I don't want it to go back as far or whatever. I want to find all that out now. So what I will do is I've got to drag this photo of the bowl, the one that I've already edited. We're going to crop. Actually, let's just do this. I'm going to pull this here, we'll pull this here, we'll separate these. I'm going to drag this bowl onto this wood, and I'm going to, actually, we're going to back this up even further. Here is my layout. So I know that my photo, or my canvas I'm going to use, is going to be a 30 by 40 inch. So I've opened a project and started it in those dimensions. And if you're using Photoshop, now this is not a full Photoshop tutorial, but I'll give you a few tips along the way. What I want to do, if I'm starting from scratch, is start a new project. So we'll go new. And this is how I come up with the dimensions. If I know I've got a canvas this size and I need to fit it within that, I'll go make sure it's set to inches, and then I'll just set what it is. In this case, it is 40 inches wide by 30 tall. Create that. There, now I've got the perfect exact dimensions of my canvas. So as I'm designing, I know that's the case. What I do, I don't need that, we'll close that. What I like to do too, I will usually import the rule of thirds, and those are those lines you're seeing on the screen. Now I may not, let's actually change this color so you can see it a bit better, even though it's not what I'm going to be using. There we go. I may not follow the rule of thirds on this. The rule of thirds is not something that you always have to follow every single little thing exactly. Sometimes it is absolutely better to ignore the rule of thirds because it doesn't work with your design. But generally, I'll kind of start with it to get an idea of if I'm close. But again, as far as the rule of thirds goes, if you're not familiar with it, it's kind of an easy way to make sure that things are lined up properly. And I have a separate video if you go look up Lachri and rule of thirds. I have a critique I did, or a couple of critiques, where I showed what a difference it makes when you, on some cases, it looks so much better if you follow that. But anyway, it just gives me an idea of keeping everything nicely balanced in my work. So what I've got, if you look off to the side over here, I've got layers. So this one, I think is my, okay, rule of thirds is listed. What is this layer? That is just a clear layer. I've not done anything yet. So I don't even think I need this layer. Let's just go ahead and get rid of that. I'm not sure why that layer was even included. So what I'm going to do is start by, let's pull the wood grain into this. So that photo I took of my table, I'm just going to drag that right onto here. And that is way smaller. So I'm going to hit Control T. And at the same time, oh, why didn't my music stop? 1 second. Pandora decided it no longer wanted to play music for me. This is unacceptable. That was odd. Okay, there we go. So what I'm going to do, I've got my image on there, and I hit Control T, which allows me to adjust the image size. Now I'm going to hold down Shift so that I don't lose my dimensions, and I'm going to stretch this out. I'm just going to let it take up pretty much the entire thing. I don't need I don't need it to be perfect. I just need to get the color down. I'm going to adjust this in my actual painting. But just so that we've got brown there. And that table, believe it or not, was cleaned, but the stuff from the duster sticks to it because it's reclaimed wood and it gives you splinters if you touch it too much. But anyway, it looks super dirty. It's not as dirty as it looks. So now I'm going to drag this image on there. So we've got the bowl. We'll just drag that right there. Now that's way smaller than what I'm going to want that to be. Let's get this out of the way now. This is way, way smaller. So I'm going to do the same thing, hit Control T, and I'm just going to drag this. And I don't know why Pandora keeps cutting off. Why are you being a jerk about this? Hold on a second. Pandora's having issues for me. Okay. It just keeps stopping. Why are you doing this to me? This is very odd. I'll move my phone and see if that helps. So anyway, back to, we're going to drag this and say, and see how it's pixely? It's not going to be. Once I hit enter, it will clean itself back up. But we'll say I want the bowl. I need it big enough that when I put fish and coral into it, that they'll still show up. So this is just not playing off of this. Let's try my own music. Sorry, this is not what you wanted to watch. I don't know why it doesn't want to play music for me right now. Let's try. Oh, I don't want to listen to that. Okay. Are you guys listening to music right now as we're doing this? If anyone has a question, let's see. Someone said to sand down the table to avoid the splinters. I like how it looks, though. I don't want to mess anything up on it. I love that table, so I just deal with it like a crazy person. But I realize that I'm crazy, so that makes it okay, right? Okay, let's go with something calm. Oh, kind of calm. Maybe. You're not going to play either. What is with my phone right now? It is not wanting to play. We'll see how long that lasts. Anyway, so I've got this all sized. I've got to have it big enough so that okay, I'm going to mess with that in a minute. It is just not working. That is really frustrating. I've got to make sure that this is big enough that when I put the coral and I put the fish, that they'll show up on it. And that's one of the reasons I want the canvas to be so big, because I know that there are a lot of elements I want to include in this painting. Now, one of the mistakes that I made when I was younger is I would try to include, 100 different elements in a painting, but not that big of a canvas. You can't get that much detail when you're trying to include that much. If you want to include a lot of things in your paintings, like in this case, a lot of fish, and I'll have the octopus, and I'm going to have all these different things, light bulbs, and all these things, I want to go with a larger canvas. That's why I'm going with the 30 by 40 inch. So that is, let's see how this is going to look and see how it cleans up once I do that. Now I've got two ways that I can clear up part of this background. One, actually, I'm going to do a couple of things here. I'm probably going to put this, let's see where those rule of thirds are. I'm going to put that in front of it. That's a pretty good location based on the rule of thirds. See how the bowl is lining up on that first line and then the bottom one towards the bottom. That's actually a pretty good location for that bowl. So I'm probably going to leave that there. I'm going to remove the rule of thirds, but I do want to crop a lot of this out around it. And there are so many different ways that you can crop an image out on your painting. Let's see. I prefer you talking without music. No, you guys weren't listening to the music. I was listening to it in headphones, but it was not playing right. I wouldn't make you guys listen to it. So one of the ways that I'll do it, and it's pretty quick, it's rough and doesn't look amazing, but I can just come through here. I want to get rid of that background, and I'm just going to crop that out on, I'm actually on the wrong layer, but I can fix that in a second. We will go around here. Let's get rid of this. Switch to the right layer, and I just have to hit delete. Now I'm doing this in sections because it likes to screw up when you use this, so that it's not, it's hard to explain. You'll see if you use this tool, the cutting out like this. So what I'm doing now, I do not want the wood grain of the table that I have in the background. This is too light right now. Just to get an idea of what I want that to look like, I'm going to drop the values down on that. Image adjustments, I can probably change it just by moving the curves. We'll darken that up a bit. And again, it doesn't need to be exact. All I need right now is to get an idea of what my layout is going to be, my actual color, my contrast, my composition. All of that's going to be fixed later on in the painting. So you don't have to be good at Photoshop to do this by any means. Barely mediocre is good enough for this. So that kind of, let's see, dull that out a lot. There we go. So that's kind of similar, close enough that it's not too distracting. So that gives me a general layout of where I want the bowl to go. Now I need to start adding in the octopus. I'm going to draw this in. Normally, I would take a photo and crop it and move it around, and if I had it like an exact photo of the animal, if I'm doing a portrait, the person that I want to do. But here, not really an option for me. So I've got to draw it in, and this is where the Wacom tablet comes in. Now, if you don't have a tablet, you can just do this in a sketchbook. I mean, technically, you could take this, trace it out, and then draw over it. So you're not having to redraw the bowl over and over again as you adjust stuff. But you can do this in a sketchbook too. You don't have to use a computer for your layouts. I didn't used to. Oh, I should have grabbed it. One of these days I'll show you some of what I used to sketch in a sketchbook and then transfer into a painting, what it would turn out like. But don't feel like you can't use these same techniques or some of them in your own 4 sketchbooks. Frez wants me to repeat the last step. I'm not going to repeat anything, honestly, on steps here. You can back up the video and watch it because I'm not teaching Photoshop. I am not a Photoshop teacher. Not gonna even fake to be. My goal in this video is just to show you guys how you can use Photoshop or how you can come up with designs for your own work, but not necessarily a step-by-step tutorial. So again, you can back up, pause the video. Anytime you watch any Photoshop tutorial, that's all you're gonna do. If they go too fast for you, back it up, pause it at that section where we're having trouble. So I've actually got a pen that I can sketch straight onto this, and I'm going to need a second layer. Let's go ahead and add a clean layer so I don't mess any of this up. And actually, more important yet, save your work constantly, because when something crashes, and it occasionally does, it's really frustrating. So let's go ahead and add a layer on here. I need a new layer, and I'm going to title this the Octopus line. I can't type with this thing on my hand. So he is actually going to go on top of this, and let's go ahead. Now I can leave the rule of thirds showing if I want to get a general idea, and I may do that. Now this is how, when I'm drawing things out, when I'm freehanding, this is always what I do. I draw big circles, basically big generalized shapes, to get an idea of what perspective I want things to be. So we're going to come over here, and I apologize if the volume gets weird. My mic's in a weird location. So I'm going to do this with a pen, and let's see what color. White. White works okay for the line drawing. And this, I don't want my rule. This needs to be more translucent. Let's drop that down so I can barely see the rule of thirds to 1%. I can see the lines vaguely. Maybe 2% would be better. Or it can freeze on me. That works too. A little bit less. There we go. Oh, 4%, that works. Okay, so we've got the pen. Now I've got to choose which pen that I want on this. Whoops. Let's see. This is just a line drawing, so I can go with something that's super basic. You need to use any, like, terribly fancy, and I'll show you some of the other, because I've got a lot of Photoshop brushes. I'll show you some of those later. But let's go with size. Let's pull that down to about, let's try 10 pixels and see how that works on this size. I do this all the time. Hold on, I have to fix. There we go. Good, we are good. Okay, so now I've got my lines. Now again, you can do this in a sketchbook if you need to. But what I'm going to do is pull up on my other laptop. You guys aren't going to see this. I do have some reference photos to get a general idea of what the octopus, the shape would be. So I'm thinking, let's see, which one do I want now? I've got so many reference photos to look at. So I know I want the head is going to be around this. So see how I'm not worrying about details. Whenever I draw, whenever I'm freehanding, I am not sitting there trying to get every little thing perfectly. Like, some people will start with an eye, and they'll start with all this tiny detail, and they go to the head and they realize, oh, I drew the eye too small. I should have drawn everything bigger. Don't start with your detail. Whenever you're freehanding, whenever you're sketching, do not start with the detail. Start with your big generalized shapes. And even here I can see I'm probably going to want to back him up quite a bit. Actually, a lot. So let's go ahead and erase this. This is what I love so much with Photoshop. We'll just erase all of that. So I'm probably going to put his head, I kind of want him higher. So his eyes maybe are this area, have his head around this area. So his eye will be here. Now see how very sketchy I am? And I'm the same way when I draw in a sketchbook. Very sketchy, very messy. Do not worry about things being perfect. I'm going to go back through and clean up. Now if you're drawing in a sketchbook, draw with a light hand. Teach yourself to not push very hard so that you can erase things very well. So let's see. Let me move this because I see I'm missing a few comments. Let's see, this bowl looks so weird. How did you get it like this? I bought it like this. They have them, it's called Earthbound Trading Company. It's kind of like this, I guess, hippie store. I don't know how to describe it. It smells like patchouli. Actually smells terrible. They have them in the malls, and they have these really cool bowls at bowls. I can't talk, bowls. And they're just cool looking, and I've wanted them before. I just couldn't think of where to put one. And then when I realized I could use it in artwork to get this surreal look, that's where I ended up getting these. Now I'm going to figure out, where do I want his legs? And I think I may even have him bigger than what I'm going to want. Let's see. I'm going to hit Control T, and I can just adjust his size and move that around. That looks a lot more like what I want. Maybe. We'll see. I may adjust that. Hit enter, so he's back in place. But see how nice it is with Photoshop where you can adjust things, and this is where I always design things. I used to design things in sketchbooks, and I just don't anymore because this is more practical. This is easier for me to adjust everything on without having to erase, and I mean I can erase, but it's an instant thing here. So way easier. 1 second. Let's make sure I'm not missing something really quick. Okay. So now I have to figure out where I want his legs. Now this is where it's going to be a little bit more like the head shape. That's easy enough. There's not much I want to change on that, but it's the where I'm going to put the legs. So what I will likely do, instead of trying to sit here and draw all the leg and make it all the perfect shape and now all the circles, that is actually a terrible idea because it's going to make it too hard for me to change those ideas later on. So what I want to do instead, I'm going to make lines, just simple long squiggle lines of where I want these legs to go. So his head will come down around this way. I'll probably have a leg in this area. But see how I'm not worrying about the little details. I'm going to have this one wrapping around maybe this a bit, that bit of the stick. No, let's pull that one up, which means I actually want to get rid of that one. But see how very loose I'm being. Don't try to put too much detail early on. So this one will droop over that stick. Let's get rid of this. All my settings are a bit weird right now. There we go. Switch back to my pen. And let's see. Now see, I'm back to, I don't really like how I've got the head, so I'm going to adjust that again. Let's go ahead and just erase that. I need to move my opacity way up on this. Go away. And what do I have? Okay. So it's very much, when you draw on these tablets, it's very much like drawing in a sketchbook. I mean, where you can erase and draw and sketch and all of those. So let's go ahead and go back to, so the eye here. Let's pull that down. And I'll probably do another video in the future showing you guys how I do like an actual like step-by-step digital painting, which this is not at all. This is just a layout, a loose layout. See, I think I want to angle his head back so he's angling at us more. That's what I'm not liking here. And see, I wouldn't have known that. My initial, like, when in my head, I thought I wanted this octopus's head exactly from the side. And now that I realize once I saw it drawn out like this, I'm like, no, it's not right from the side. I want him behind it a little bit more. Now I know to change that before I paint it that way. This is why it's just so helpful. I'm being corrected. They're apparently arms, not legs. They walk on them. I'm calling them legs. You're not here for educational purposes. So let's go ahead and adjust this. And I'm going to see if I can find a reference photo of an octopus at a slightly different angle. I actually want to switch my... There we go. And what I'll do, once I get my general line, I'll go through and clean up the lines, and then I'll fill it in and put in different details and such. So now I need to go back to finding a different reference photo. And looking up reference photos is probably what I spend the majority of my time doing when I'm trying to find, or when I'm working on a design. I spend so much more time researching and looking for things, and it's not exciting at all. It is much more research than it is actual drawing and painting, I think. This portion of the process is the longest in me coming up with a design. So let's go ahead and see if any of these photos that I have are at a better angle for what I want. Nope, that's a side view. I know you guys can't see this, but they're not. They're copyrighted. I can't legally put them in my video. That's the backwards angle. Side, back, back. None of these are kind of angled. I may just have to get creative on this. Okay, none of those really work. Let me see really quick if I can do a Google image search. And again, I don't have to worry about copyright right now because I'm not copying anything exactly. I'm using it just to get a general idea of the shape of an octopus head at that angle. So let's go ahead and do, what I do is just a Google image search. And give me 1 second. I know this is really boring, but this is a part of the design process, is just looking slowly through things. Question from Rabbit Child. Before going to this design process, what was your first thought? Like, did you think of the octopus when you bought the bowl? How did it come? That is such a good question. Okay, because that is actually something I wanted to cover tonight. So here's the thing with the design process. It's a collage. That's it. It's as simple as a collage. And I have, like, one of my friends, Kendra, she's always complaining that she doesn't come up with good ideas. She's like, I can't be as creative as you. Like, I don't feel like I'm that creative. I make collages of crap. Like, that's it. It is as simple as that. I knew I wanted to do something with an octopus, and I thought it'd be cool to have a sphere or a ball, and I was coming up with all kinds of different ideas. Just what could the octopus be wrapped around? I knew I wanted him kind of like interacting with another object. And that's where it started. It came with, oh, this bowl would be cool because I love these bowls. I wanted a reason to paint something similar to those. I love the texture of the wood that it's sitting on, so I knew I wanted to combine those. I thought it'd be cool to put, what would you put in a bowl that an octopus would be around? Coral reef would be cool with fish and such. So that's kind of where this whole process came through, but it's a collage of ideas. I mean, most of my surreal stuff, it's not something where I just had this perfect image and knew exactly what I wanted to paint in my head. That was never it. It was pretty much always, it started with one element, and then I think, what else can I put with this element? Maybe this giraffe needs butterflies. I don't know, something right. You know, just what other things could you put together that don't necessarily go together? It's not as hard as you often think it is. If you can look at it more as, do it as a collage. Let's see, I've got Sarah Edmondson wants to know if I can draw on PicMonkey like I'm doing in Photoshop. Not the same. You can do some, but like my Photoshop brushes, I've purchased from Aaron Blaze, who I strongly recommend his. I want to say it's creatureteacher.com. Could have that wrong, and I apologize if I do. But if you look up Aaron Blaze, he has a lot of Photoshop brushes that are really, really good for different textures and stuff, which I'll be using on the octopus later. And when I do another Photoshop tutorial, like a digital painting, I'll show you how some of those go. I may show you at the end a few little things on a past one I've done. Jackie wants to know if I taught myself Photoshop or I recommend a YouTuber for the basics. I taught myself because when I started learning, there weren't a lot of Photoshop tutorials. So I just learned from trial and error. And that's why a lot of the stuff that I do is probably not the best or fastest way to do it. It's just like what I figured out from trial and error. It works for me. And so that's the way I do it. But there are so many tutorials. So I can't give you a definite, this is the person to go to. Just search for what you want. Like if you're trying to figure out how do I crop an image in Photoshop? How do I cut out an image in Photoshop? Just type those words in and you'll have different tutorials come up. Okay, so back to searching for the right head angle. Ooh, this one's kind of good. Let's see. Maybe I'll use it. Let's go ahead and save it just in case. And what I do when I save these images to my computer, I mark, anytime I save an image that I'm going to use as reference, I mark that it's either royalty-free or that it's not royalty-free, because it is too easy to mix those two up, save something, think it was something that you either paid for or got from a royalty-free site, and realize you didn't until after you painted it, and you just don't want to deal with that mess. So I always put, my note on my computer is always RF or not RF. So like this one, downloaded as Octopus 1, so I will put dash not RF. So I know anytime I use this image, I can only use it to get an idea of like the shape or whatever, the texture, but I can't copy it. I absolutely cannot, I do not have the rights to do that. So you want to make sure you keep yourself out of trouble when it comes to copyright laws. And when you save anything to your computer, it's just a good idea to get in the habit of marking if something was royalty free or not. Ooh, this is a good one. Okay. I think, ooh, 2 good ones that I can use. Okay, let me save these and then we'll go back to drawing. 1 second. It's hard I'm so slow at saving stuff on my laptop. I'm used to using a mouse and that's on the other computer. So let's save image. This is Octopus 1, not RF again. And then there was one more I want to save to use as a guide. Where did it go? Here we go. I know. See, I told you. This is boring. The stage is super, super boring. It's not exciting. It's just what I do when I design stuff. Let's see, save image as, and not RF. Okay, so back here, let me pull these images up. And that's actually a pretty good one. And let's see. Will I do any digital art in the future? Absolutely. I've got a few. If you want to see some that I've painted recently, over on Facebook and Instagram, I have a few that I've done. I just finished a deer like last week. I'm gonna try a few different backgrounds on him. But yeah, I'm sure I will. I'm slow. I mean, because digital art isn't my primary medium, so I'm not as fast with that. I'm slower with, okay, I forgot what brush I want for this texture or technique. So I end up having to, I waste a lot of time basically. Okay, and one more reference was, okay, let's see. I was wondering, I was taking too long looking for ideas, saving photos, etc. Relieved to know that that's what others do. Yeah, it's a long process. I spend so much longer on the research of a painting than I do on painting itself. The painting part I'm super fast with. Coming up with ideas, messing with stuff, sketching things in. This is just part of the process. So let's go ahead and pull these up. You and you. Okay. Where'd my pen go? Okay. So now I can see some different angles for the head, and that should help me out quite a bit. So basically, you know what? You need to go away. Oops, that's not the right brush. Let's just erase this. Actually, I'm going to erase this edge because it's bugging me. Let's just let that fade out into the other wood grain. So it's nice and soft. Okay, and then back to the line drawing. So let's go back to this. So his eyes would be somewhere around here. And then his droopy head comes down this way. Yeah, this is definitely, I think, going to be more what I'm looking for. Why are you not reacting right? Hold on. Technical difficulties here. Why is that not doing what I want it to do? There we go. I may need to... Yeah, this is weird. It's like not drawing where I'm putting the eye. I think I need to recalibrate this. Let's see. So here's my head. His legs will come down here. Look, I'm bugging someone again. I called them legs. I've always called them legs, so yeah. I don't see myself training that out of my head anytime soon. Let's go ahead and erase some of these lines that I don't need. Oh yeah, this angle is so much better. So again, here's where Photoshop is just so handy. I got to find that out before painting. Okay, I actually don't need these legs anymore either, so we'll just get rid of all of this. I probably could have just gotten rid of this layer and started from scratch. Don't need any of you. Go away. Okay. I keep trying to erase that. There's a piece of perlite in my table that's stuck from my plants. My African violets sit there and there's perlite stuck in the table I need to get out. And I keep trying to erase it. Okay, so back to the drawing portion. See, am I using a stylus? I am. This is the one that comes, it's a Wacom, the computer, or I need to turn off those tips. That's getting annoying. The tablet I'm drawing on is a Wacom 27-inch, the QHG, and it has the pressure-sensitive stylus. Would I mind doing a tutorial on different types of backgrounds? Wood, Van Gogh type of background, etc. Festival. I mean, individual tutorials I have with different types. Okay, so now let's go back to, I don't really need that image anymore. Let's get rid of that. I want to see how many computers I can have up at the same time right now. I'm doing pretty good. There's a lot. So, I think I can make his body a little bigger. And now for legs. So I want them to be really curly. Now, one of the problems that I have when I draw octopi, whatever we decided it was, I am stiff. Like, I draw the legs like I would land animals. The legs are very stiff. I have a very hard time keeping the fluid movement that I like. Now, it's not that their legs can't look stiff or can't look that way, but I want them to, I definitely want this to have more fluidity, and this is where drawing it in and erasing is going to be really, really helpful, because I can keep messing with it until I get it how I want. Definitely going to have, now I want a leg to come up over the bowl, but I also want to make sure you can see that the bowl is droopy. So I definitely don't want the leg there. So let's just erase that line I just did. That is not where I'm going to want that. Maybe have this leg come. So this leg, see how it's curvy? That's really what I want to go with that fluid movement with the legs, where versus how I typically draw them very stiff. Let's see. So let's go ahead. I don't really have a reference for this. It's just a matter of playing around with seeing how I want the legs to go. So we'll wrap it around that one. Now this is, well, I'm going to have it come down, come back up over this, back down, and around. That'll be under that there. Right now it's just kind of like a ribbon. I'm going to go through and adjust the sizes and everything. Like right now that leg would be super, super short. So I may end up having that twirl and continue up. Yeah, definitely will. I kind of like that look. Not that you can see it that well with the white. Oh gosh, we're getting the octopus jokes already. Why are they called tentacles when there are only 8? Let's see, Beth said, question, any advice for starting up a YouTube channel? You've helped me improve my art so much. Thank you for all the work you put into making videos. Oh, that's awesome. You just have to start. And the big thing, a lot of people get discouraged because they expect to grow super big or super fast. So while some people do, I wasn't one of those. It was a long process for me to grow my channel. While some people do grow fast, some do not, and just the different algorithms, and there's just so much involved. My first tip would be go and subscribe to video creators, I can't talk, video creators, with Tim Schmoyer. He has the best tips for getting the channel going. The other thing is that you want to, nope, don't like that one, erase. You want to get yourself on a schedule. Like every Wednesday you're going to upload a new video, or every Tuesday, and I'm a terrible example of that lately because of all my health stuff, but normally I was on a better schedule. But you want to get on a schedule so people know to expect a video that day. That would be a big thing. But definitely go subscribe to Tim Schmoyer. He has the best, he gives the best advice of any channel out there that I've seen. And there are a few different creators you can watch. If one, like a lot of them that I've watched with different tutorials for creating YouTube channels I just didn't click with. And if you don't like one, there's going to be somebody else who teaches in a way that you'll learn from. So just keep looking till you find one that you like. Okay, let's see. I have 2 legs so far. I've got a lot to go. I actually want to clean this line up. I've got more squiggles than I need now that that is in there. Let's go ahead and erase some of these. Let's fuss over minute details that aren't important. But I have so many lines in here, it's making it hard to see the ones I want to keep. But see, one of the things when you're drawing, when you're freehanding, don't erase until you get the lines that you do want. So like if I would have kept draw a line, erase it, draw a line, erase it, I'm probably going to keep just redrawing the same line in the same place. By leaving all those sketch lines that I had, it let me know, okay, that was too small. Move it out. Same thing with eye. It was like, okay, this is too small. Go until it's bigger. And then I can go in and erase what's needed. But don't erase so much as you go. With the tentacles, it's a little bit different. But with the actual, like the bigger shapes, the bigger designs, don't erase the majority of it until you get the main one that you know you want to stay there. Okay, back to drawing. We need more legs. Now, I do think, we'll see. I think that I want to include light bulbs, like one of his arms holding one up here. So maybe have it go off the canvas. Yeah, this really needs to be recalibrated. It is really far off for some reason, right? Like really far off. You know what? So I'm going to save this because this is getting really annoying. One of the problems that I've had with the Wacom tablet, I swear, anytime my computer has an update, things get just not good. Let's go ahead and really quick see if I can do that. Was this the one? I don't remember. I haven't done this in a while. I don't think that's it. Normally this is really, really accurate, but for some reason right now, this is so... I've got updates. Maybe that's why. There we go. I didn't even remember what I'm supposed to click. Ever click champ. Oh, I guess I'll have to deal with this and fix it later. That's getting really annoying. I don't remember where the calibrate button was. I know it's fairly easy and I just can't think of where it is because I haven't had to do it in a while. Let's see. Okay, I'm back to messing with this with my pen being in the wrong place. So let's do some other... So I'm thinking here, maybe have a light. This is beyond infuriating. Okay, I have got to figure out what is going on with this. It is not, it is so inaccurate. I'm sorry about this, guys. Hold on. I've got to figure out where that calibration is because, dear God, it is so far off. And I have not seen it do. If someone remembers where the calibration is, just let me know really quick. Functions, remote, tool, application. It feels like it did when it was right out of the box where everything was messed up. And I just used this a few days ago. Whoops, that's not what I meant to hit. I don't know why that is so messed up right now. Let's see. Where is there a search? I need a search. Let's see. Andrew said there was a check box in the calibration thing said use with Windows Ink. Is that another app you use to calibrate with? No, I don't think so. Functions Pro Pen. Use Windows. I don't know what that is actually. This supports press and hold, right click. Okay. That's not. It's really quick to, oh, is it this? Hold on. Apparently not. Dang it. I thought I had it for a second there. Wait, maybe I do. Nope, don't need that. Uh-oh. Maybe I shouldn't have just pushed the button I just pushed. Well, we'll sit here and figure that out. Why do I not have Windows 10? Because I friggin' hate Windows 10 with a fiery passion. It's, oh no, don't do that. I have it on my laptop, the one that I'm actually looking at right now to talk with you guys, and I absolutely hate it. Drop down arrow. Where are you seeing a drop down arrow? I don't want to do the update because I cannot mess with that right now. It should be really easy. That was not the right button. Let's see. Click the pen first and then click the calibration above the pen picture. Okay. Here, click the pen, pen. Oh, no, don't cancel. Don't do that. Double click. Everything's been fine. I don't know why right now it's just, I don't know what that's telling me to do. Oh, here we go. Okay. This will take 1 second. This is actually pretty fast. Okay, hopefully that just fixed it. We'll see. No, it's like got a weird delay. I wonder if it's because I'm recording it. That may have something to do with it because I've never recorded before. So we may just have to deal with it. Okay, moving on. I'm not going to mess with it anymore. I'm just going to complain about it to you guys nonstop for the rest of the evening. Enjoy. Let's see. Okay, so now that I'm looking at this, I'm not in love with that leg that's up there. So again, this is why I love Photoshop so much, or designing here, because I can say, nope, you go away, you look terrible. I do know I'm going to want a leg back there, just not that one. So, and I can actually, let's go ahead and enlarge this a bit more so you guys can see better. Let's go one more. That should work. Okay. Let's see. What is a good first charcoal piece? Something you're interested in? I'd say something fairly simple, like go with, we're still on, right? Yeah. Go with like a flower or a rose, something simple, basically, something that you're not going to get really frustrated with if it's not perfect. So we're going to flatten this out on the thing. And I'm probably going to put different elements on the ground. I just don't know what those are going to be yet. I'm going to make this actually bigger. So see how I'm leaving those? I'm not drawing one line erase, one line erase. I'm leaving them in there until I get a general idea as when I change things that I like the placement. So let's get rid of some of these. Oh, I don't like that at all. Let's get rid of that. Okay. So his arm, you'll see some of his arm through, actually I'm not sure. Once I start painting the coral in, I may show the arm, I may not. Let's see, why is my channel named that? I'm not sure what you're asking. Try again. Let's see. Auntie is going to sleep. Good night. I should title this piece Tentacle Treasure. Yeah, I don't think so. I'm going to call it legs. I'm kidding. I'm not. So I'm just going to start drawing some of these in to see if I like any of them. That is going to need to be way bigger if I leave that in. Okay, let's see. So I still think I only have 2 legs. I haven't gotten very far. Possibly one there. See, I don't like that. Maybe if it curves up. One of the things you want to watch as you're designing things is the flow. Like here, I had this line came too straight going off. It pulled everything off the page. Now, you can have things going off of your canvas. That's fine. But you want to watch how it's drawing. Is it drawing your eye off? So like when I paint in the tentacle, I'm going to make sure that there's a shadow as I move off the canvas so that you're pulled more in towards the light. I don't want something bright going off. And right now, this line right here, that just being straight like that really pulled my eye off the canvas. So let's get rid of that. The curve I may work with. We'll see. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll have maybe one come up here. I think I'll probably have one overlap at some point. So what are we at? 1, 2, 3, 4. He needs a lot more legs. And I want to have them kind of twisting and turning around each other, like more intertwined. Let's get rid of those. Actually, didn't like that one. I'm kind of liking the general balance, the weight of this though, now that these legs are here, because one of the things that I wasn't liking, the body and the bowl were too centered. I didn't like that feel, but now with having the legs go off the page, I'm elongating the whole thing and the balance is nicer, so I am liking that. You guys get to listen to me think out loud. This is what goes through my head every time that I'm designing something. These random, well, I like this, I don't like that one brush stroke. Nope, don't like it, let's try something else. It's very unexciting. Nope, don't like how that's coming out of the middle of the bowl. Get rid of that. Oops. Yeah, no, that is what I wanted gone. Okay. Let's see. Where else do I want? Now, I want to make sure as I add these in, I don't want to cover too much of the bowl and too much of the wood grain. So that's actually here about what I would want with legs. It's this area is where I want to have more showing. So some of these don't have to show. What is going on here? I don't know what this line was. Let's get rid of that. Okay. Decisions are hard. And now you guys know why I don't generally record this part of the process. I know I'm probably going to want, let's go, if I go with light bulbs, actually, no, I can leave those. If I had, see, this is still, there must be some kind of a weird delay with recording this because this pen is not doing what I'm telling it. Like, it's really still far off. Okay, more legs. Actually, you know what? Change my mind. I'm going to leave what I have here. I'm going to add more, but I'm going to start drawing in and adding weight to the body to give me a better idea of where I do want legs to cross over. Because I think I want one crossing over here. Actually, yeah, I can do one like that now. But it needs to droop down. Ooh, I like it. Okay, this one's good. Whoops, grabbed too far. And I'll have part go off the screen. And then you'll end up seeing the little suction cups here. Which I'm sure are called something else, and I'm calling it the wrong thing. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and start shading in parts of the octopus. Now, I will, this is not, by the way, this whole design is not gonna be completely 100% done tonight. It'll be mostly there, but my whole goal here was for you guys to really see what this process looked like. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna create another layer. And I'm going to start filling in the octopus a bit more, because when you draw in a line drawing like this, one of the things that happens is the weight is very different than what it's going to be once I start filling things in. Once I start coloring things in, shading things, that completely changes the weight of things. Whether it be because of contrast or color, it will change things completely on how much things weigh. Right now, things are light and fluffy and airy because it's lines, so it seems like I can safely put a whole lot more. But once you start filling it in, that changes it. So let's go ahead and add a layer. And I'm going to put this for the base of the octopus, and we'll start doing the layers. Now that layer I want to go under the line drawing, and I am going to start by shading him in. Let's see. Vladimir said it would be really cool if you painted or drew an octopus with a key in its hand, unlocking a chest that had the octopus in it. Actually, I like the idea of a key though. I could even include that in this one. I'm kind of obsessed with keys lately. You can't see them. I need to move them somewhere else. But I've recently got some like the Harry Potter style keys with wings. They're really cute. Okay, so I'm going to start with drawing him or filling him in. I'm on the base octopus layer. I haven't quite decided the colors for him. I'm thinking blues and oranges. I want him to, probably blues and oranges. So let's start with a light kind of grayish color for my base. We'll go right around there just to get a medium color, and I'm going to need this to be a lot bigger. I just did something here. Yeah, okay. My pen is angry. Did it get stepped on or something? It's like sticking out weird here. Something went wrong here. Okay, yeah, it is not respond. Hold on, my pen is messed up. This is unfortunate of all the days. Oh, weird, it snapped out of the... That's odd. Okay. Oh, look, it's behaving better now. No, it's not. Okay, anyway. So I'm just going to let this be pretty solid and much bigger. We're just going to go ahead and turn off. It's not giving me what I want. There we go. This is hard because I'm not getting the accuracy that I typically would, given the pen is being a jerk right now. So this whole part will get covered in. Yeah, it's like I got a really weird delay that I don't typically get with this. Usually this is super responsive, very accurate, and I am not getting that tonight. I'll have to do some research and see what the reasoning behind that is. I don't know if using OBS and recording it is just slowing my computer down, or if my computer's angry about something. Let's see. Vladimir says, I sketch things on a canvas with chalk and it works great. Do you think it's a good idea to do with chalk? Absolutely. You can do this with any medium that you really want to. You don't have to. I'm using Photoshop for this, but you don't have to. Let's go bigger than that. Now that I've got it outlined, we'll just go ahead and then I'm going to shrink that pen right back down. So see how you can just kind of get an idea of where everything goes. Don't worry about the details still. That doesn't matter yet. Yeah, Bimbo said that she thinks the extra RAM is what's causing the delay. Happens to every once in a while in Photoshop. I wonder how to fix that. I mean, I'll upgrade whatever I need to upgrade, but I don't know what. I'm going to do some research on that. Oops. Wrong button. Why are you being weird? Like I'm having some weirdness. I am using the typical Photoshop brushes, which I don't usually use because usually I'm using errors. I don't know if that's what's being angry or what the deal is. Because it's not just the delay. I'm having just a lot of weirdness that I don't typically get with this program. So right now, see how everything's very flat? That will all be shaded in. Like, there's going to be such a huge difference once this is all shaded. Almost looks like an upside down treble clef there. Just filling that in. Now, if I'm doing something that's like actual digital painting where I really care about the end result, I'm going to use smaller brushes. I'm going to go a lot slower and be more precise. Here, it's not really necessary because I'm going to, since I'll be repainting this on an actual canvas. I don't like this leg at all. Let's go ahead and... No, that is too busy. Let's get rid of this. Not a fan of what's going on here. See, this is where it was like, it looked okay when it was just the line. I kind of like the line. And then I thought, well, it needs more. And as I added more, I realized I didn't like it. So glad I found out that looked like crap here. Right click on the bottom of your screen and open your task manager. You can see if your PC is overtaxed. Right click on the bottom. Where am I looking? Oh, here. Tap. I don't even remember where that is. We will mess with that later. I'm going to have to play around with settings and stuff because I could sit here and screw with that for the next 20 minutes. So I'm going to try to deal with the problems and just continue complaining about them. Okay. Oops, not an eraser anymore. I'm going to come back to that leg because I'm not sure how I want the weight of that to look yet. See, one of the problems that I'm definitely having, this leg is fine, but this one feels too short. I need to make sure that the rest feel a bit longer. Am I using reference? Sort of. Right now, no. But I have reference on one of my laptop where I can kind of see a general idea of what an octopus is shaped like. Once I start working on his skin texture, I'll look at some. But I don't have an exact reference photo. There aren't any... I can't find any good royalty-free reference photos of Octopus at all. I've actually looked for years. And so I'm just going to combine a whole bunch of not royalty-free into my own. Thanks for putting up with me experimenting with, because I've not used the tablet at all before for live streaming. I had no idea what to expect or what problems that I might run into. So it is possible that OBS isn't even the right option for... That's too thick. Get rid of that. I'll see what other people suggest later on. It's like nothing is even happening there. Weird. I'm not used to that. I'm used to this program being so responsive to every single brush stroke that I do. Okay. So we're getting somewhere. So far, I know for certain I love this angle of his head. Once I go through and start shading, I know that that is definitely something that you know what? Let's pull that off. Nope. Whoops, go away. No, still not there. I wanted to hoop around, and I'll come back to him later. Okay, let's just go ahead and work on the octopus skin now. So now I want to start adding some shadows in over this. Let's go ahead and go a bit darker. And actually what I'm going to do is lock this layer. And what that'll let me do is make a mess, scribble outside of the lines, but it'll stay inside the lines, which is really convenient when you want to be messy. So we will just, oh, why do I have two? Base octopus. Hold on one second. Let's just, what in the world? Why do I have two layers of that? You go away. I don't know why you're there, but I don't need you. Okay, this is the layer. I'm going to hit the lock button, and I'm going to switch to the airbrush tool, or just a soft round, and let's see, how big do I want that? Much bigger. Not that big. That should work. I want it to be pretty soft, and I want the color to be much darker than what I have right now. Let's go with, actually, let's pull up some reference photos there and give an idea. Ooh, good. Yes, I should need to save this. Thank you for that. I have not saved in a while. I actually have a shortcut on my little remote thing that goes with the Wacom tablet for save. I don't remember what button I applied it to, so I never remember to use it. I end up doing it the other way. So let's go ahead. My opacity, I'm going to turn way down. And let's start adding a bit of shadow. Now see, as I add the shadow, I can go outside of the line, and it's only shading him. It doesn't go outside. If I scribble over here, it doesn't show up. That's what locking that layer did, which is like, I was so excited when I learned that trick. And I'm using a large brush just to get this very soft shadow here. I'll come back through and go smaller when I'm adjusting. Actually, let this be a little bit more opaque. Yeah, see, that's what you guys will have to remind me of when I'm recording anything digital, to save, not to record this time like usual. I'm going to darken that way up because I don't want that pulling the viewer off the canvas, so the edges will be darker. You'll still see them, but they're going to end up being way dark. Turn the opacity up there. Just a little shadow, and I'll correct all of this in the painting. I'm not too worried about my lighting being super accurate at all right now. I'm just starting to build. Okay, let's go ahead and start pulling a bit of texture into him. Why don't I have that arm length reaching over the rim to get into the creatures within? Actually, that's one of the things I'm going to do, is have one of them at least tipping, like his tip of his little arm going in, but I'm going to wait. But I like that idea too. That was actually one of my original things I wanted, was one of the arms going in. But I want to get the balance of everything else a bit first. Okay, now we get to play with trying to figure out what all of these brushes were, because there's a lot of really cool textures that I have, and I never remember which one it is, so I have to test a million times before I find the one that I wanted. I don't remember at all. they're listed as sample brush on too many of them, which is not helpful. Let's just test one and see. Oh, that gives a good texture. Okay, let's try him for a while. So I'm going to use this one. I'm actually going to switch to an orange. Let's just start adding some texture in there. I'm going to add tons of texture on his skin. And I'm going to do it a little bit different when I paint it on the actual canvas, but I want to get an idea for now. Oh, Julia said she's reminded me 3 times to save. Thank you. Yeah, I'm having a harder time keeping up with that one when looking at a screen than I am when I'm painting looking at the screen with the comments. I've got to get back used to this stuff again. Let's go a little bit big. Oh, that's way too big. Not that big. Not that big. Let's go smaller. Still smaller. Maybe. Yeah, let's try that one. And what I like to do with, like, when I Photoshop or when I do any sort of digital painting, I do so many layers and get so much texture that these first ones, they don't have to be, they don't even have to show at the end if you don't want them to, basically. I'm just going to keep adding more and more texture, and the arms are going to be a lot different once I add the tentacles, so those won't look remotely the same. We'll just throw some in for now, though. But see how easy it is to add different texture? This is so nice. Like if you're painting grass or something like that with Photoshop, you can do it really, really quickly. The most left limb to cradle around the bowl too? Maybe. That may be a good idea. I've got to be careful not to put too many limbs in front of the bowl because I want to make sure you can see all the fish and the whole coral scene inside of it. So I've got to make sure to leave a lot of that open. Let's try another brush. What's this one look like? How about you? No, you're not right for this. What do you do? Oh, you're a tree. Actually, tree texture could work. I know I've got really interesting textures. I just have to find them. Ooh, you probably will be good. Let's add it. Let's switch to a different color. I'm going to go a little bit lighter. And my whole goal right now is just to build texture. I'll come back through and focus with lighting a little bit later. Go bigger. I want to get some different sizes in there. Yeah, this highlight here will actually be toned. That needs to be way darker once I go back through. Very cool in the background. You could do an octopus being in a pirate themed restaurant. Let's try a different brush. That one was, I think, my cloud one. Nope, that is not what I want. Let's see. We've got a lot of different ones for different types of trees. What do you do? No, you're not right for that. This is why I'm so slow with Photoshop. I don't remember. I got so many brushes at the same time, and I can never remember which one does what. That one is a bush one. Some dots. That actually could look cool. Let's do that and just lighten it up. Ooh, that adds a nice texture. There's a brush I have that's really good for like elephant skin or the type of texture that I would work for this. I just haven't. See why it's so nice that I locked that layer? I'm all over and nothing happens except over the octopus. Now my goal here, I don't need the texture to be perfect. What I need is him to be the right color and that sort of thing. I need the weight. I need to see where I want the legs. But in order to do that, I want to get a little bit of texture in here so that I can get an idea of what that would look like. And I'm actually looking for a very specific brush and I cannot remember what that is called. Ooh, that gives an interesting texture. Not what I'm looking for, but let's throw some of that in there just because we can. lions. No, I know which one you are now. And yes, even when you guys aren't here, I sit here and talk to my work just like I am now. Oh, I remember you. Nope, you are leaves. You are not what I want. I do a lot of talking to myself. Let's see what other textures I can throw in here. Nope. I'm trying to find their skin. There's one that's specifically for skin, like what I'm looking for. Nerp. You know, I actually wonder if I didn't install it. That is a very good possibility because I've not actually used it before. I know I have it, but I never used it. So there is that possibility. Okay, let's start getting some of these deeper shadows in. I'm going to go with kind of a warm grayish color. I need that to be way darker. And I'm going to use this texture to go ahead and create that. Your dark, your opacity. I'm going to bump you up a bit. You are not working for this sampled brush. Let's try you. You're giving me texture, just not what I want. Let's see. You will actually work fine. Ooh, I like you. Definitely want it to go darker though. Not that small. There we go. This will give me some shading in here. Actually, these tentacles will be backlit. At least this one will. So my main thing that I'm going to start playing with now is just figuring out kind of my color palette that I'm going to want to use on this guy. Giving myself a little bit better of an idea of that. So let's go ahead and where did my photos go? I had one that I kind of like the color palette on. I know I want to go a lot darker on some of these. Not that dark. Let's get rid of those. Not that opaque. Sorry, my Pilates ball is rubbing up against, making a bunch of noise against the stand this is on. Let's go ahead. I'm going to switch back to the airbrush tool. And let's keep it kind of soft. That should work actually. I'm going to darken this up a bit more. So this is actually going to cover a lot of the texture in there, but see how it makes it more subtle. You can still see it. It's just very, very subtle. Just darken a bunch of this up a lot. Let's shrink this down and fill in his eye. Okay, back to focusing on color a bit more. If you can't hear, it's probably because I wasn't talking, I'm guessing. Let's see. Looking at colors. Let's go. I need to pull this a lot darker so that my highlights will be light enough. One of the problems that a lot of times people will have is that they can't get their brights bright enough, and usually that's because their darks aren't dark enough with right next to it. You need to get your darks really dark so that your brights stand out the way that you want them to. So I'm actually going to pull this to... Let's go with you. What's the difference between Liquitex Basics and Artist Loft Michaels brand acrylics? They are both student grade. I don't think people understand what student grade is necessarily. Usually when it comes to acrylics, there's not as much pigment in them. But it doesn't mean that they're only for beginners. I personally prefer the texture or the consistency and opacity, or lack thereof in that case, of Liquitex Basics to like the soft body in most cases. Not every case, but in most. The Artist Loft, the generic, I don't like at all. They're very plasticky, I guess, which is funny because that's what acrylic is. I don't like them. I don't like the way that they blend. I don't like the way that they layer. They've got too much gloss to them, so when I want to take my charcoal pencil and draw in the next layer, it won't stick to it. I do not like those. The same thing with the Hobby Lobby's Master's Touch, or yeah, Master's Touch, their generic brand. I hate theirs. It just does not do what the Liquitex Basics, and Liquitex Basics for me works better for my techniques. Oh, that got weirdly small there. There we go. Let's throw some of this in here. I'm just basically scribbling. I haven't defined, I'm still not really focusing on details yet. Just getting general things blocked in. I definitely think I'm going to like this combination of this kind of burnt orange color with a kind of tealy warm blue. You guys are shocked. Teal? If you guys, while I'm sketching on this now, have any questions while I'm working, feel free to let me know. Just highlight the way you've seen some people do. Highlight my name in orange. I'm more likely to see it. Again, just really focusing on where I want my lights and darks to be. Oops, there was one. And Caitlin says that she thinks that Liquitex Basics will be the best for her too. Doesn't like the plastic feel either. I love the opaqueness. See, now Liquitex Basics aren't that opaque, and that's why I like them. That's why a lot of people hate them, but it's why I like them, because the way that I glaze, that works better for me. I don't want super opaque. I mean, I have like the soft body. Those are good for the pouring when I use pouring medium. But I just like to do lots of translucent layers in my work. So the Liquitex Basics are just perfect. But it's a lot of people think that I just use them because they're cheap, and I don't. I mean, that's a nice bonus, but that's not why I would choose them. Like, I will pay whatever I need to get the quality that I'm looking for, the texture or whatever. Let's go ahead and save that because I haven't done that in a while. I'm just making a blobby mess. But I'm pretty excited because I know by looking at this, I can see how that's going to translate into the painting, and I definitely am liking how this looks. I might even take some of the wood here and extend some further. That may be one thing, or I don't know. I've got to think of different elements that I might want to include on the floor, on the outside of this bowl. You guys have any ideas you'd like to see? Is my normal live stream schedule back now? Yeah, my plan, hopefully, as long as everything goes well, because I'm not 100% healed, but I'm getting there. So my plan is to Wednesday nights have my normal live stream, but I may do some during the days too for Q&As and such, instead of having to edit them. Do I tend to see a lot of color shift with my Liquitex Basics? No, the only time you're going to see color shift is when dry paint versus wet paint, but it's not a color shift. It's just because it's not wet, it's not shiny anymore. When you put a gloss varnish on it, it pulls that vibrancy right back out. So just put a gloss varnish when you're done, and it'll be right back the way that it was. So using this one brush is actually, as messy as it is, works for giving a bit of texture without too much. Let's go ahead and pull some of the brighter blue back in. I say blue, but it's kind of it's more gray than blue. Let's go a little bit brighter on some of this. Hype up that saturation just a bit. And then I'm going to pull a lot of this blue into the tentacle, the little section cups once I get there. Actually, let's go ahead and this. I get rid of those lines for a bit. Shrink that up. See, it's very similar in the way that we layer to working in acrylics or working in oils. The main difference you're going to see is that it's faster. Switching brushes. It's the same. I'm choosing the brush that I would if I was using the same type of brush for painting. It's very, very similar in that when you paint digitally. It's just a lot faster. Shrink that down a bit more so that I can have a bit more control over this detail. We'll mess with that eye later. That's not quite right, but we're getting the general idea. So yeah, okay, I am liking the color of him, and especially the blue. I've got to pull a lot of that blue in because that blue is going to be in the water in the bowl. And in order to, you want to use similar colors so that they all kind of blend together. And I'm not going to do the fish. The fish, I won't Photoshop or do anything with that. That I can do. Actually, if we want to get an idea of what that might look like, let's go ahead. I'm going to show you another way to go with it. To do this without the tablet, how I Photoshop stuff in. Let's move that mic out of my way. Okay, I'm going to pull up, what did I call it? You just have to remember what it was saved as. It's old to new. I just don't remember what file I put that under. Give me 1 second to figure out where I saved this. Because I can pull, there it is. Let's pull that in, and I'm going to show you where you get an idea of how stuff could look. I want to make sure this is bigger than my bowl. I'm not going to put Orcus, I don't think, in this. Let's make this translucent, more translucent, more translucent. Okay, there we go. Let's then go ahead and I'm just going to start by cutting this out to begin with. So what I'm doing, it looks like I'm cutting out the bowl, but I'm actually going to be cutting out the background for that painting. I can actually go behind the octopus so I don't have to worry about his leg. And this is kind of a cool effect to get an idea of what that transparency will be like. And you can see I'm being so messy with this. This is like a really bad, like if I wanted to do Photoshop well and make all of this look remotely accurate, I'm going to take my time. I'm going to use different tools. But when you're designing for a painting, I can be loose. I can be messy. This does not have to be even close to perfect. Jackie said, when designing in Photoshop, does that help you to decide which medium you will use in your final piece? Or do you, whoops, that scrolled too far. Or do you decide which medium and then this influences your design in Photoshop? I usually decide the medium first. So let's go ahead and make this opaque again. So see how it's outlining where that bowl will be? I'm going to hit Control-Shift-I, and that takes the outside. Delete. Oh, I didn't. Hold on one second. I have to fix that. Raster size. There we go. Now I can hit delete. And now there's just where the bowl is. But that obviously doesn't look quite right. So we're going to drop this behind the octopus. And we're going to make it very translucent. Sort of translucent. Actually, what I think I might do is, I need some of these lines on this bowl to stand out more, so I'm going to actually do something else. Let's do two things. I'm going to duplicate that layer. I'm going to pull that in front of it, and I'm going to outline him separately as well. And just delete. Do the same thing, delete the background. So now I've got the bowl on top of that, and this is what I'm actually going to make look more transparent, but I'm going, okay. So what I have to do in order to make these shine marks stand out, just because I want to see what those will look like, I'm going to hype up some of the contrast there. So let's go with curves first, because that'll usually do it. Make it really dark and really bright so that those will show up really well when I then make it translucent. And if it doesn't show up enough, you can do it this way then. Let's go another method. I'm going to take my pen again and I'm going to erase some of this. Or I can sit and freehand in the lines. That works too. But this gives me an idea of what it would look like. Now I'm not going to copy those exactly, but it'll give me an idea of what that will look like. So make sure I'm on the right layer. I'm going to erase this. I'm going to keep the opacity down quite a bit. We'll make that a lot bigger. We'll switch to this here. And I'm just going to erase some of this glass bowl. I'm going to leave the edges so that we can still see those and where some of these shine marks are going to be. But this will let us see some of those fish while still keeping the edge of the bowl. I'm just erasing the center, some of the center. So we can see those are the general colors. I'm not going to have the orcas. Actually, maybe I will. I kind of like that. I was planning on just fish, but maybe we'll do a full scene of water in there. But that gives me kind of an idea of what that might look like. I actually don't need this. We'll erase some of that. So see how you can just layer and try different things and get an idea of the color. Now that lets me know I'm going to need to mess around with the brightness. I definitely want to have really strong contrast on the octopus. Right now, I don't have my brights in. My brightest brights aren't there yet. So that's going to definitely need to be messed with. And the lines, I mean, the detailing and stuff around his eyes, none of that's really there yet. But I am liking the majority of this right now. I'm going to mess with some more legs. And then when I put the tentacles in, those are going to be really bright. That's going to make a huge difference too in the balance of stuff. So let's go ahead and mess with putting some more legs in now that we've got a generalized idea of some of this. And again, this doesn't have to be good, and I'm excited for you guys to see what this looks like in the actual painting. If I were to do something that was with Photoshop, like let me show you one that I recently did. If I was trying to make a complete Photoshop, like really pretty, detailed, everything, complete that I could do prints with, I'm going to spend a lot more time and be more exact. But I don't need to for this. So let's go ahead and show you the deer. Like this is one that I recently did. Did I put, which is the one that I'm working on? Here, give me 1 second for this to load. It's a big file. So here's a deer that I did. And this is, you can see multiple layers of all the stuff, but this was all, none of this is a photo. All of this deer was painted in with the brush, with the stylus that you saw. And you can get super detailed, make things look very, very realistic. But when you're designing a painting, you don't need to. You do not need it to be that accurate. You need to be close. I need to have a general idea when I'm, where did he go? Come back. I need to have a general idea of where I want the arms, where I want the legs. I'm going to mess around, like all the shadows, everything around the body. I've got a lot of work to do in there. But now this gives me somewhere to start and not have to do that starting stage on the canvas. Once I get to the canvas, I will know pretty much where exactly how the arms will do. And what I'll end up doing is using a projector. Once I get my image drawn out, I'll use a projector to project this onto my canvas because I already drew it. If I project it, that will allow me to make sure my perspective stays the same on the big canvas. Let's see. Jackie wants to know if I will also have fish swimming on the outside of the bowl. I'm not sure yet, and that's something I'll mess with. I mean, you can see I've just started on the octopus and how long this is taking to get to this stage of the design process. So once I start, I mean, I've got hours to go on designing this painting before I'm ready to actually hit the canvas. Now, one thing that I'll end up probably doing, I don't know that I'll edit the fish in now. What I would probably do is get to about this stage of the painting on the canvas, take a photo, pull that into Photoshop, and then see what it would look like with different fish. Photoshop different ones in, and I maybe, we'll see where it lines up on live stream nights, but I'd like to show you guys how I do that, like kind of in the middle of the process, where I do that a lot. I'll take a photo of wherever I'm at. I wonder if I have that for this one. I have another one. Let me see if I've got it here, and I can show you what I did. Give me 1 second. It is... I don't know if I've got it in here, where I took a photo, it was not finished, and then I just messed with, yeah, I'm not seeing it. I don't think any of these are it. I messed with, I don't think these are going to do what I want it to. Let's find out. Yes, it did. Okay, so this was one that I messed with. I took a photo of where I was at this stage of the painting, and I wasn't, this isn't a good photo, the lighting wasn't right or correct on this at this stage, but I wanted to see if I wanted to put bubbles or rays of light coming down. Like, I had no idea if I thought that was going to look good in the painting, and I'd already gotten to this stage, and I wanted to find out. So I just sketched some in. Oh, fireflies. Let's see if I like fireflies. Turned out I loved the idea, but I took a photo of the painting when it was partially done. And then and that you can do on your phone, on an iPad, iPhone, whatever. I mean, I don't need accuracy to figure out if fireflies were going to look good. But I made those adjustments and then rays of light to see, okay, will that look good? And my finished painting on that one, let me pull that up for you. Here was the finished painting. So here was where I took a photo in the middle just to see if I thought that was going to look good, and decided I loved it. Then I went to the canvas and made those adjustments. So my lighting, I fixed everything. I mean, obviously that wasn't, I didn't need the best photo for the first one, but there's where I wanted to see, there's without the fireflies and the rays of light. Let's just do a crappy job, Photoshop it really quick and see if I think those rays of light, I mean, they're not even straight. Look how bad those rays of light are. I don't need it to be perfect for the design. I just need an idea of whether or not that's going to look okay. And then when I go to the painting, then I need to be more perfect. But that is how I'll decide part way through, and I'll definitely do that with the octopus here. Once I get the octopus in the bowl and the fish inside the bowl painted in, I will take photos and see what it would look like if I had fish swimming around, or if I add another element somewhere. Maybe fireflies will work with him. I don't know. But I'll try that after I get a photo of where the painting is at that stage, before I move on to finishing everything off. Yeah, JBC13 art said fireflies would be cool. Yeah, I may do it. I'm actually kind of liking the idea now that we're talking about it. I have a feeling that's gonna... I'll be surprised if I don't end up including them. But what I'll do is take that photo first, Photoshop the fireflies, decide if it looks good before I do it on the canvas, so I don't find out on the canvas, oh, that just ruined it and it looks terrible. This is why Photoshop, I think, is just, or whatever photo editor you want, I think is just so important for artists to use, because it's just such an amazing tool. Like, I mean, that is one of my art tools. I actually write it off. It's a tax deduction for me because it's part of my business. I mean, that's how I work, is incorporating Photoshop into all of this. And I do the same thing. I'm actually gonna leave the octopus for now, so we can, I mean, well, where did he go? I don't even know where he went. So that's where I'm gonna leave that design for tonight. I'm not done. I've got a long ways to go before I know that I'm happy with this. I've definitely got to fix the fact that his body's just this big blob. I've got to add a lot of shape, and I think he'll have some arms going in front of there. Look, I'm calling them arms now. But I'll show you a few others, the way that I Photoshop. Whoops, you don't need to see Facebook. I'll show you some others of, let's see, where I design them and how I come up with the design. Because I know I have some more. Oh, this one probably does. I took some photos. Let me load this. I don't remember which ones were which. Okay, this is a good one. Here was let me open up the actual finished painting too. Okay. Oops, did I just put it in the wrong place? I think I did. Yeah. So here's my finished painting on this one. Here was my design. I found random stuff that was around my house. This was actually stuff at my mother-in-law's house. I found she has this weird flowery thing. I put it on the books just to get the perspective with the shelf and bird cages and stuff, because this perspective is very, very weird. So none of this is actually really Photoshopped together. That was all, I took a photo of them together so that the perspective would be about right. But that one, I mean, we've got a lot of different pieces. Let's pull these out so you can see. Because I edited it. Wow, I'm getting tired. Them in individually. So like the shadows, adjusting color, because that was the actual color, which is not what I wanted. What else can I get rid of here? So see how I just pulled different things in. Butterflies, different elements, messed with, put them in there to decide what I thought was going to look better for my piece. And then it doesn't have to be perfect. And then was my actual painting. What about a flamingo in a bowl? Maybe for a different one. Let's see. But yeah, I mean, you've got so many different ideas. So there was one. Let me see if I've got, I know I've got more that show the in-between stages. Or even how I just add backgrounds to different things. Let me see if I have any for, I think it would be with portraits. Maybe not. I'm trying to think. Nope, that was not it. What did I have them under? I didn't even remember. I may have moved it to a different. I recently had to reorganize stuff on my computer because I ran out of space. So, because it's partitioned. My husband put it together and partitioned it weird. And he didn't put much space on the part that I normally save stuff to. So I had to move stuff over, and I got rid of a bunch of stuff, and I don't remember where I put them. Trying to look at more that I do that with. Oh, let's see. I want to show you what I do with the backgrounds when I'm trying to figure out what type of background I want to do for. Maybe this one will have something. Maybe, maybe not. Let's see if this was one. Okay, so here was one. Well, I photoshopped the background. You can see that clearly. But I tried different backgrounds. This was the image I used to work off of. But I tried so many different backgrounds till I figured out which one I wanted for that guy. So I'll Photoshop the backgrounds before I start painting. And I'll try it with different colors. Will it look better with an orange background or a red background? And this is great. If you take commissions, this is something that is so helpful to learn how to do, because you can show the client all of the different options. Like what I did with this one. where I had 4 different types of backgrounds. They're similar, but okay, bright background, gray bird, bright background, bright bird, dull background, colored bird, or dull background gray bird. Those little things really make a difference when a client is trying to decide which type of background they want on their portrait. If you can show them an idea of what that might look like, that makes it easier for them to decide what they want. And then you guys don't both find out once you painted something yellow, oh, I actually don't think yellow looks good with my dog. Those colors don't work well. So if you can learn to at the very least crop, it'll help you to design your work, and it'll help you to come up with background ideas for clients if you're taking commissions. It will make it so much easier for you. Let's see. What sealer would I, Angie wants to know, what sealer would I recommend, what sealer would I recommend for sealing an acrylic painting that won't darken the painting? I use Liquitex satin and it darkens it. It's not, I know what you mean by darken it. What it's doing, it's putting the colors back to what they were when it was wet. You're just making it look wet again. You will probably want to find something that's a matte finish. That will give you, the higher the gloss, the deeper the color is going to be, just because it looks like wet paint again. It makes it look like it looked like when you initially applied the paint. But look for a matte finish, should do what you're looking for. Let's see. Going through, looking, seeing if I'm missing any questions here. I think we're good. So I'll answer a few more questions before we wrap up. We'll go back to, oops, I don't need all of these open. Let's close some of these. What we were working on there. Let's see. Caitlin said, I bought Aliona's book. Now I just got to order that powder blender. I've been doing a lot of colored pencil, and I'm surprisingly better with that than graphite. Sold 3 pieces. That's awesome. Good job. I'm actually, I'm excited. I wrote about it in the newsletter, but I'll go ahead and tell you guys if you didn't see the newsletter today. I am going to start doing, because I know a lot of people got a lot of new supplies for Christmas that they've never used before. So I'm going to be doing like your first time using powder blender. I'm almost done with that project. That'll probably go up, if not next week, the week after. But walking you through step by step, like what it should look like at this stage, because going over common problems that people often have when working in different things. Kaneho wants me to fix the delay. Fix the delay. Oh, he's got a YouTube video for me. Yay! We will definitely be looking, well, by we, I mean me. I will be looking at that when we're done here and figuring out why my music wouldn't play. My other problem. Let's see. Jesse said, have you ever thought of using golden open acrylics? So I don't like the idea of open acrylics because I don't want them to reactivate. What the open acrylics will do, it's kind of like working in oils where it'll reactivate. I don't want it to reactivate. I want it to stay dry, stay put, stay permanent. So I may do a video doing them. I actually think I have some here someone gave me that I could test out for you guys, but I don't want my paints to reactivate. I don't want them to stay, I want them to stay wet during the amount of time I want them to, in which case I just keep misting water with the airbrush. That'll keep it wet as long as I need. I could keep it wet for hours if I wanted, but then when I want it to dry, I want it to dry. I don't want to have it reactivate. JPC13 Art wants to know if the baby chicken can come in for the last of the stream. Yeah, actually, let me go grab him. I will be right back. Here's Chicken. He was sleeping. He may be a little grumpy. Were you tired? Let's see. My glasses fogged out when I came back in. Yeah, I'm not living this winter myself. Molly said, I got the 24 set of Inktense blocks for Christmas and it has your artwork on it. That is awesome. I'm so excited. I didn't realize that the Inktense, the new tins are in the newest Dick Blick catalog. Someone posted about that in our art group. I was pretty excited to see that because I had my catalog. I ran and grabbed it, and sure enough, It's in the one I have too. So I was pretty happy about that. Hi, chicken. Let's see. Hey, my sister's here. You're late, Leanna. Aren't you supposed to be reading a book? I have her reading my favorite series right now, so she's enjoying that. Where are you going? So let's see. We've got a few more minutes if you have some more questions. And I'm gonna come up. I want to definitely do another digital once I figure out. Well, I'll look at what Kaneho sent me. But no, you can't see Chicken anymore. He's wandering around on my desk. But there was. Let me see. I'll show you some more digital paintings I've done. I definitely want to do like a full, the whole thing, or more detail so you can see how much cleaner you can get your lines when you paint digitally than what I'm doing here. Like I said, it doesn't need to be perfect for this. So if you're thinking about doing digital painting or using the computer anyway for designing work, don't let it discourage you that it seems overwhelming at first, because I felt that way with Photoshop in general. I really was not loving the idea of working digitally, because it's, or not digitally, working in Photoshop versus I was using an old photo editor that was really easy to use, and I was really intimidated by Photoshop because I didn't know how to do anything on it. It's not that hard to get used to. It really isn't. Here was one, oops, that's the wrong, that is not how I meant to open that. It was definitely a lot easier to use once I started making myself use it. The more I used it, the more the easier everything got. But see, you can see on this one here, you can get tons of teeny tiny tight detail with Photoshop. You don't have to be as loose. My Octopus is very fuzzy, I guess is a good way to put it. His lines aren't super clean, but you can, if you look at the bird, the feathers and everything, you can get tiny little detail, or you can keep everything big and fuzzy and soft. It's very easy to adjust both those types. So, come here, Chicken. Stay up here. JBC13 Art wants to know if I've listened to any good audiobooks recently. I'm listening to the Dragonian series again. I like that series. There are some serious issues with grammar in that book. Things like, my heart beat extremely faster. Extremely faster? You're an author. That's your job. You should know that's not how that's worded. I'm an artist. I don't have to have my words right. So it's okay for me to fumble over them all. But when you write it down, I was like, extremely faster? What? But besides that, the story, I loved the Dragonian series by, is it Adriana Wood, something like that. That one's been a good series I liked. I also, the King Fountain series. Oh, that was really good. So those are two that I've recently listened to. I recently started listening to one called like the Crystalline Bridge. I don't know. I think it should have been called The Crap. Hold on, what was it? I'll tell you right now. I don't recommend it. There were two that I really didn't like. The Crystal Bridge, it's not terrible. I just can't get into it. I find I don't care about any character, and there's too many separate stories that right now aren't connected, and I'm on chapter like 28 or 28 out of 33, and I still don't know why I should care about any individual character, which to me is not a good book. But that one and Unblemished, who wrote that one? By Sarah Ella. Oh dear God, that was horrible. I couldn't even get halfway through it. It was so badly written. But anyway, those are my book recommendations of things I liked and did not like. Let's see. Stay off the keyboard, Chicken. I don't need chicken droppings on that. Do I have a favorite current artist? I love Brian Holland. I love his style. He's one of my favorites for sure. He does a lot similar to what I like with the like damask background or different patterns, swirls and stuff mixed in with animal paintings that are really cool. He's definitely one of my favorites. Have I ever used any of the Blick art paint supplies? Yes, I've used their paint and I've used their canvases. They're not amazing. I mean, they're usable, but nothing I would run out and spend money on. I had to use them because that's what we used when I taught at that Let's Paint While You Drink place. I used to teach classes there, and that's what they used. Wasn't a huge fan. I mean, I've used worse for sure. It's not the worst in the world, but it's not. It wasn't my preference. A lot of problems with their canvases too. Let's see. Whoops. Do I know Ginger Cook? What do I think of her artwork? No, that name sounds familiar, but I can't think of who it is off the top of my head. I did a live stream question with an answer with her, so yes, I did. Really? I don't think I did. Did I? I don't remember if I did. Oh, the one with the frugal crafter. Yeah, I know Lindsay. Didn't really know most of the other ones in the group. So that I'm not helpful for. So sorry about that. And here's the thing: when you ask like what I think of another YouTuber's artwork, I'm not going to say anything bad. I could think they're terrible. I could think they're amazing. I'm not going to tell you if I think something's bad. That is a crappy thing to do. Like, there's no need for me to share my opinions if they were negative. So there's no reason, like, it's not something that I'm going to have a discussion of, because if I liked some, I'm only going to say positive about people through YouTube, especially if it was somebody I knew. There's no way I'm going to talk bad about other YouTubers' art, because and with the different classes or different paintings you see, I mean, everybody likes different things. So yeah, I definitely would not answer honestly a question like that, what I think of somebody's art, if I wasn't, I mean, you're not going to get a genuine answer there. So I can't remember her, so that I'm not speaking like, now that I say that, I realize I sound like I'm saying I didn't like her work. I can't remember her work, so that isn't there, but I wouldn't honestly say whether or not I liked somebody in that case, because I'm not going to chance offending anybody. And my sister is laughing at my memory. She knows. She knows well, because hers is about as bad as mine. Let's see. I have a really big problem with putting on my canvas. I use acrylic paints, Liquitex Basics, and I've used different brushes. I use Daler and Rowney canvas. Any suggestions? Yes, don't use Daler and Rowney canvas. That's probably one of your problems. With the pitting, I'd have to see it to know exactly what you're talking about. I know that those are terrible canvases. You know, I'm not a fan of those canvases, so I can say that. But it could be the texture of the canvas may have too much tooth. The canvas may be primed badly. It could be any number of things. Without actually seeing it, I'm not sure. If you want, though, you can go to our art group over on Facebook. Just type in Lachri Artist Group. If you post over there, more of us are going to, a close-up of what the problem is, are going to be able to give you a better idea of what might be causing the problem. How do I use Photoshop to find the main colors, aka for color theory for my layouts? Well, it depends on what it is that I'm coming up with. Like, for example, let's say, let me just pull up a random photo. We'll use one of our Patreon reference photos. We'll do this like I'm doing a new project. So let me go to Patreon. We have all of our reference photos. By the way, if you are a member of Patreon, make sure, like, soon download December's photos. If you haven't already, make sure you get those downloaded now, because I'm going to be deleting those soon to upload the January reference photos. But anyway, let's go. Yeah, my computer is really slow. It is unhappy with things right now. This should not take this long to open that file. So let's just sit here and stare at the computer blindly. Or boringly? Blindly was not the right word for that. I'm really tired. What points do I give for a beginner artist on landscape or background? Just do it. Get a reference photo, first of all. Don't try to assume you know what a landscape looks like. Like, okay, I've seen this set of mountains a million times. I don't need a reference photo. You need a reference photo. If you want your work to, oh my gosh, are you even going to think about opening? Let's do it this way. Yeah, see, that way faster. I don't know what it was having a problem with. What was one of our, but yes, you want to make sure that you have a, sorry, I can't multitask. Let me just get this open really quick. You want to make sure that you have a reference photo. Don't assume that you've got it. Whoops, cancel, that's not what I meant to do. That you know what you're doing without that photo. Let's get rid of some of this. I've got too many of these things open. Let's go ahead and get rid of these. So that would be my first tip for you when you're starting. Get a reference photo and just do it. And this out, I know that that's not the answer people want. People want this like crazy step-by-step, these great you're going to give me one tip and it's going to make all the difference in the world. No, you've got to practice. You've got to make some really ugly paintings before they start looking good. You're going to get a reference photo of a landscape and you're going to try to paint it. Now, it is easier if you can find a lesson or a tutorial or something where you can copy another artist's landscape. Now, you run into copyright things, so make sure you're doing all that legally, or not. You know, if you're doing it just for yourself to learn, you can copy whatever you want. Just don't post it online. But I mean, copying a painting is way easier than copying an actual photograph. So that is one big tip I can give you. But you have to do it, and you have to be prepared to make a really ugly painting to start with. I mean, don't be worried about making mistakes. Paint a landscape. And then the things you didn't like about it, try to improve on the next. And then try to improve a little more. And try to improve a little bit more. But you're not going to instantly be amazing. And I think that's where a lot of people struggle. It's scary. They want everything to be super, you know, I don't know what dimensions I'm giving this or why. But you just have to do it. You can't sit and look constantly for the most amazing, perfect idea. You just have to jump in. Like, no one's going to give you this tip that is suddenly you can paint. You have to practice and make some ugly things before. Okay, so this is one of the ways that you can do for figuring out color. If you've got a reference photo and you want to figure out how to do this, or what colors you're going to use, this I find to be really helpful. So let's, whoops, this is not what I want. There we go. We're going to go that size. I don't need that big. And I want to make this you and you, that is fine. Opacity all the way up, just making a few adjustments here. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is hit Alt when I've got the paint tool open, and I'm going to, whatever area I'm interested in that color, there we go. And now I can look over off to the side. You can see here, well, my face is kind of in the way, but if we, actually I can do it this way. You'll be able to see that easier. If we look at this color, or our little palette here, you can see how saturated this is. Or, okay, is this closer to blue? Is it closer to purple on that color? Well, color strip. I call it a color wheel, but it's technically a line. But you can get a better idea of your colors there. So let's do another one. Like, how yellow is that? I'm going to hit Alt while I'm doing it and touch that. And there we go. There's my yellow for that. How about the beak? What color really is the brightest? Is that actually white? So Alt while I push on that. No, it's not white. That's kind of a pale gray, and that is the lightest color. So now I know, okay, don't jump straight to white on the beak, because look at how much of a kind of grayish blue that is. It's a very, very pale gray, but that's not white. There's no white anywhere on this canvas. There's no single area that is straight white. So it makes it easy to test that. But I can, you know, look at different colors here. Like this blue here. What shade of blue is that? Oh, that's a lot darker than the blue that I had from up here. So this is an easy way you can use Photoshop to tell your colors that you're using if you've got a reference photo that you're going by. And this one is one of our reference photos for December, so it's still available. If you're on Patreon right now, this is what, January 3rd. Within a week or so, I should have the next photos up, which means these ones will be removed. So again, make sure you download yours now if you're getting these. Let's see. Oops, I scrolled past. Have I ever considered using colored pencil on Yupo paper? I'm experimenting now, getting some interesting results. It's interesting. I've used it only when I went on top of marker, because I used the pigment markers by Winsor & Newton. The wax-based pencils, my luminance worked better than everything else, but it was okay for details, but it doesn't have enough it's too smooth. You can't get really that much of the color saturation and such. It wasn't one that I would do regularly, but it was kind of fun to play with. Emily said, where do I get those rake brushes you use for fur, feather, texture, or whatever brand they are? I'm having a terrible time finding something similar. My favorite ones are Bob Ross, which is funny because I don't like his painting supplies otherwise. Normally, they don't work for my techniques. But Bob Ross is his fur, I think he calls it a fur brush. I forget. But that one's really good. And then I have one by Low Cornell. It's a filbert. It's rounded. And that one is not good when it's new. You just keep using it and intentionally not cleaning it well. I'll use it as a filbert until it gets damaged enough that it makes for a really good rake brush. Let's see. What paints do I recommend? If you go to my website, lachri.com, under supplies, the menu, it'll, for whichever medium you're looking for, I've got all the supplies that I recommend there. There's too many to list for this. Let's see. I've had problems when, whoops, I just scrolled past. Who is this? Fiddle Jewel said, I have had problems when overlaying one image on another with scale. Somehow I was not figuring out how to adjust one layer without adjusting the size of all layers. Any tips? Yeah, that's actually really easy. Let's say I wanted to take something out of, I don't know, hold on, let's say I wanted to take this deer and put him on top of this one. We'll drag him over here. Oh, he's big. So if I want to adjust just him, I've got that layer. See off to the side how that's chosen. I don't have, nothing is linked or anything like that. It's just that deer. And I'm going to hit Control T. And now I can adjust by, and I'm going to hit Shift to keep his perspective. If I don't hold Shift down, he'll change into weird shapes. And while I'm holding Shift, I can adjust by just dragging that corner to whichever size I want, and then hit Enter when I get it the size that I want it to be. So now we have a deer that is smaller than Macaw's. Here, he can be there, buddy. Let's go a little bigger. So again, just Control T, hit Shift, and then adjust by dragging. But you make sure you hold Shift down. If you let Shift go, you end up, here, I'll do it now. See how, oh, that's not right. So make sure you're holding Shift so that that doesn't happen. But yeah, you can just by making sure that that's connected. Now, if you have two things highlighted like there, now if I hit Shift, everything's going to want to adjust. And that's not what I want. But that's only happening because see how both of these layers off to the side, Deer 1 and Layer 2, are both highlighted? You don't want that. So I'm going to escape. I just want to highlight, click on the single layer that I want to adjust. And now that is the one that's going to adjust. So hopefully that helps. I think we're about done for tonight. What watercolor paper do I don't watercolor, so I can't really give you any suggestions there. I like Fabriano Artistico Extra White Hot Press 140-pound watercolor paper for colored pencil. Actually, although I've heard they changed, so I'm not sure if I still like it. I'm waiting for my new batch to get here. But for watercolor, I don't know because I'm not a watercolor artist. It's not one of my favorites. Shift Alt to scale on center. Huh? Oh, I think you're talking about something different. So yeah, I think that's it for tonight. Next week, I'm hoping that we'll be actually painting or drawing. I'm not sure. We may be continuing this design on this octopus. I have no idea what we're doing next week yet, but I have a new video that should be going up tomorrow or Friday, an oil painting video of a chickadee where it's the first time I'll actually have my palette recorded so you can see how I'm mixing my paint as I go. So that will be the next 2 days. I've got another Smart Art Box video of an acrylic pour that I did on, I think, Saturday that one goes up. And yeah, I have no idea what next week is. But if you're not already signed up for my email newsletter, make sure that you are. You can sign up over on my website. There might be a link in the video description. I don't remember, honestly. But make sure you're signed up because then I can email you when whatever the schedule is going to be and where those changes are. And then, of course, I post on Facebook and Instagram and all of that. But that is it. Thank you for joining me tonight. And yeah, hopefully we'll have a new painting or drawing tutorial next Wednesday for the live stream. But I will talk to you guys later. Let's open all this up so I can close this. Good night. Oh, wait, before I forget, make sure check out our moderator, Valerie and Dead Jester. They have their links to their YouTube channels here on YouTube. So make sure you go subscribe to them as a big, huge thank you for helping me out tonight. I almost forgot. See, I'm so behind. I don't remember how to do anything anymore. I'll see you guys next week.